Hello and welcome to this video on Maven Dependency Management.
Maven offers a number of features to help manage dependencies used in your project.
In this video, we will look at the following concepts. What is a dependency? What are the types of dependencies in Maven? What are the different dependency elements? What is scope and exclusions element? What is the dependency management element? To start with, let us see, what do you mean by a dependency?
A dependency is a library or artifact that a project depends on to function.
Dependencies may be external, or it may also be your own dependency that you created.
When you add a dependency to a Maven project in the pom.xml file, Maven will automatically download the dependency and add them to your project. You don't have to worry about downloading and installing the libraries.
In Maven, there are several types of dependencies.
Note that, here, types of dependencies refers to the different ways in which Maven handles dependencies.
The first type is direct dependencies.
These are dependencies that are directly included in the project's pom.xml file.
These are specified using the dependency tag. Next we have transitive dependencies. These are dependencies that are required by other dependencies in the project.
These may not be explicitly declared in the pom.xml file.
Maven automatically includes transitive dependencies when you add a direct dependency to your project. The next type is optional dependencies. These are dependencies that are not required by the project, but may be used if they are available. These dependencies are specified using the optional element within the dependency element. The next type is excluded dependencies. These are dependencies that are excluded from the project. These dependencies are specified using the exclusions element within the dependency element. Moving on, here is a sample dependency element that you would add in your pom.xml file. This element includes the group ID, artifact ID, and version of the dependency you want to add. Let us look at each of these. Group ID. This specifies the organization that the dependency belongs to. For example, here the group ID is the springframework.org. The next attribute is artifact ID. This specifies the name of the dependency. Here it is Spring Core. The next attribute is version. This specifies the version of the dependency. Moving on to the scope attribute. Maven allows you to specify the scope of a dependency. The scope determines when the dependency is available to your project. Below are the different scopes supported by Maven. Compile, this is the default scope, and it indicates that the dependency is required to compile the project. The dependency will also be available at runtime. Next, provided. This scope indicates that the dependency is provided by the runtime environment and is not included in the project's final package. For example, in a web application, the servlet jar will be provided by the server. So we mark the dependency scope as provided. The jar will be used for compiling the project, but will not be included in the final package. Next, runtime. This scope indicates that the dependency is only required at runtime and is not needed for compilation. The dependency will be included in the final package. Next, test. This scope indicates that the dependency is only needed for compilation of test classes and execution of tests. It will not be included in the final package and will not be available at runtime. Next, system. This scope indicates that the dependency is provided by the local system. Its path is specified in the system path element. Next, import. This scope is used to import the dependency management information from a different Maven project. Now let us look at the exclusions element.
By default, Maven will automatically include transitive dependencies when you add a dependency to your project.
The exclusions element enables you to exclude specific transitive dependencies if necessary. For example, here, I am using a dependency called artifact nullTech. This artifact has a transitive dependency on external logger, which Maven adds to my project automatically. But what if I do not want the logger dependency, instead I want to use my own logger implementation? Using the exclusions element, we can indicate Maven not to include certain transitive dependencies. Moving on, let us see the dependency management element. To understand dependency management, let us first look at a multi-module Maven project. A multi-module Maven project is one in which a parent project manages multiple child projects. In the diagram, the parent Maven project has 3 child projects. Assume all 3 child projects have a dependency on Spring 4.0. Now if we have to update our project to use Spring 5.0, we need to update all the child projects, which is not efficient and might lead to inconsistent versions. The dependency management element allows us to define the dependency in the parent project as shown. All child projects will inherit the dependency from the parent. If we have to update our project to use Spring 5.0, we just have to update the parent project. This is much more efficient and ensures that all dependencies in the project use a consistent version. This is a sample dependency management element in palm.xml file of the parent Maven project. We define all the dependencies within the dependency management element, and all these dependencies will be available to the child projects. Therefore, dependency management element is used to specify the dependencies that are used throughout the project, rather than specifying the dependencies in each module. Alright. That is it for this video. To summarize, we learnt what a dependency is and how Maven handles dependencies. Then we learnt the types of dependencies. And then, the different dependency elements, namely group ID, artifact ID, and version. And then we looked at the types of dependency scope and exclusions element. And finally we learnt about the dependency management element. I hope this video has been helpful in understanding how Maven handles dependency management. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.